Good evening, Year 9 and parents. This is the options presentation, and I'm recording this in December 2023, and hoping that many of you are watching this for the first time on Wednesday, and if you're watching it later, then you're very welcome as well. My name is Mr. Hall. I'm one of our assistant head teachers here at Beacon. My job is putting the timetable together and particularly looking at the option choices and making sure that we can accommodate all the things that people want to do. So Year 9 options are a major part of our planning for next academic year. We've already asked Year 11 what choices they want to make for their Year 12 study, and now it's your turn to look at what you want to do for Year 10. I guess it's just worth saying at the beginning that things always change. Education has changed a little bit, as I guess it always will. So new GCSEs now a few years ago, so hopefully the idea of numbered grades rather than lettered grades seem very obvious, but GCSEs are graded with a 9 at the very top, down to U at the bottom, and the kind of standard that people talk about, I guess previously people have said A star to C, now people talk about kind of 9 to 4 as being the kind of better grades. 3, 2 and 1 are still graded and still worth having and still makes sense in terms of kind of what comes next. The government also has recently talked about the EBacc as a kind of bundle. So if you have English and maths and you have science and you have a language and you have either geography or history, then you can talk about that you have an EBacc. Sadly, nobody actually gives you anything. You don't even get a certificate or a badge, but the EBacc is a kind of measure of having a sort of broad choice of subjects. Now, on top of GCSE, there are other people awarding things that are equivalent and are worth the same. So the NCFE, you'll see a couple of those in there. The Welsh Examining Board have some subjects as well. Usually we talk about these being a kind of vocational, but they are very much equivalent to a GCSE. The grades for GCSE, as we said, go from 9 down to 1, and the vocationals split into a level 2, which is the kind of top end, and the level 1, which is kind of lower, and they line up in a fairly annoying fashion, not very easily. So we've written it again inside the booklet. I hope you see how that kind of works, to see how those pair together. Now, this is the big change for you all the way through school so far. Certainly in primary school, certainly for us, all the way through 7, 8, and 9, you've had practically no choice as to what you do. Now you get to Year 10 and 11, you get some choice. So we're going to give you and explain how to make your 4 choices. And then, after Year 11, wherever you go, whether you stay at Beacon or you look somewhere else, you will have a completely free choice. There's no rules or plans of what you have to do after that. So now we're looking at this green bit, Years 10 and 11, where you have got 4 choices. So here are the things that you don't get to choose. So within the core, the things that we think everybody should do. So English, in which you'll end up with 2 English GCSEs, English language and English literature, and maths and science, and we'll talk about more about that in a minute. Everybody carries on with practical PE. You'll see in the booklets that you'll also have the chance to gain a qualification, but everybody does a practical PE and some RE and personal development as well. So what happens about science? Well, everybody takes what we'd like to call combined science, which the exam board called Trilogy. And this means that you carry on studying biology and chemistry and physics, and you end up with 2 GCSEs. But it is possible to study triple science or separate science. And again, you carry on with biology, chemistry, and physics, but you get 3 GCSEs, 1 GCSE on its own, separately for each thing. So triple science is a choice. We'd love you to choose that if you enjoy science, if you're good at science. So if you've got above average in your CKAs, then that would make an excellent choice for you. We'd love you to carry on with that. Many of you will be thinking that you want to carry on with science in the 6th form, whether you're staying here and you're thinking of A levels in biology or chemistry or physics, whether you're thinking of vocational course that we offer or other places. And it's not essential that you do triple science for those, but it would really help. So here are all the choices that we have available, and I've tried to group them a little bit over here. So the ones on the left here are the ones that you'll recognise. I've highlighted here the 4 different qualifications that you can gain in PE. You don't have to choose one of those. If you'd like to do one, that'd be great. We're only going to let you choose one of those because we think that achieves a good kind of broad mix. On the right hand side over here, you've got some of the subjects you will be less familiar with that you won't have seen quite so much so far at Beacon. So this might be things you want to read and watch their videos a little bit more in a moment. So can you choose anything? Well, kind of, almost. There's just a couple of little restrictions on what we say for that. So we would say you must choose either geography or history. We want you to continue with a reasonably broad set of choices. And we know that geography or history make a huge difference to your sort of understanding of the world. So we want you to keep with one of those. Again, you should really think hard about continuing with French or German. And there's a lot of things to see here, and it's easy just to stop with lots of things. We'd really encourage you to think again about continuing with French or German. Again, particularly if you like studying French or German, but again, particularly if you've been successful at it so far. So again, if you're above average, if your CKA score is above average, you should really think hard about carrying on with French or German. And then we'd say, we want you to keep a broad mix. So no more than one PE choice. You don't have to do one, but if you're going to do PE, that'd be great, but just do one. And we don't want you to do either art and photography. You can do one, but not both. And the same with the engineering kind of thing. So product design and engineering won't let you do both of those. And I'm going to short the orders here for, because that's definitely what we're going for. Okay, so you have to do geography or history. Think carefully about triple science. Think carefully about French or German. Choose one PE and no more, and don't do art and photography, or don't do product design and engineering. We've also put in the booklet the page that talks about sixth form courses. So maybe if you've already got some idea what you'd like to do, it'd be helpful to read their kind of entry requirements. What is it we think you should do? What qualifications should you have before that's a good course to choose? There are also details about every course. So this is a really useful book now when you're making choices, but would also be a useful thing to keep and have somewhere safe. So when you do start these courses in year 10, you've still got this information to hand. Okay, what are good ways to choose? So think about what you enjoy, think about what you're good at. You will get the CKA results. You may have had them from subjects already, but you will get them from us as a kind of tracking sheet in January, so that would help. See what else you can read, not only just looking in our booklet, see what else you can find. Think about what you want to do after year 11. See if that sort of, does that guide you a bit now? Does that help form career choices? And talk to us, talk to your form tutor, talk to subject teachers, talk to other teachers, so that you're getting lots of advice and you've got lots of things to think about. What are particularly bad ways to choose? Don't choose something because it looks easy, because nothing does. GCSEs are hard work. They're difficult things to do. That's what makes them so valuable. That's what makes people so pleased when you've got them, because they're not easy. So don't choose things because they look easy. Don't choose things because it's what your friends are choosing. Quite likely to find in lots of subjects there's more than one class. So even if you're a friend and you have chosen the same course, there's really no guarantee you will be in the same class as each other. Don't choose something now because you like the teacher. Again, there may be more than one class. It's not quite as straightforward as this being a way for you to choose the teacher. And don't choose something just because someone else in your family studied it. So maybe this is something your older brother did, or your mum studied, or this needs to be things that you're happy to do and you're going to enjoy doing for the next 2 years. So some key dates. You've had the options booklet already, and this is the options evening. So once I've finished here, you will find on that options page a whole heap of videos, one from each subject, to try and explain a little bit more. But obviously you've got the booklet, so you can read in there too. First week back in January, we'll give you the tracking with the CKA results, and we'll give you a login for the online method of you telling us what your choices are. There's no rush with that, but we'll give you that in January. And then second week back in January and the third week back in January, we have the parents' evening. So this is partly an evening to talk about how things are going this year and what progress you're making, but also partly then to ask about subjects and choices for next year. And then a week or so after that, Friday the 26th of January, is the deadline for completing the online choices so that we know what to do and how to do next. And I guess just a slight kind of warning on the end. You are telling us what you'd like to do. We will do our very best to make this work, but we really can't afford to run a class with a very, very small number of people in it. So if there's only 2 or 3 of you wanting to do something, we'll come back and find you. We'll say we're really sorry, but we really can't afford to run a class that's that kind of size. Usually doesn't happen. So assume what you're choosing will work. That's usually the way that things pan out. But we will let you know if there's any issues with that, and we'll get back to you fairly quickly on how that kind of works. So thank you. I'll put my email address here. If you've got any questions, please do feel free to email. Thank you very much. You should find now, if you return to the options page, the other subjects are now available for you to see underneath.